What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, and this is the film of the year, really, that everybody's been asking for. Uh, you've already seen it, so I don't even know why we're here, obviously. But it's The Union. This is The Union, guys. This is the big one. It's currently on Netflix, and it has audio description done by Descriptive Video Works. It is narrated by Matthew Dick and written by somebody whose name I forgot. But it doesn't really matter. The audio description is fine. I don't really have a problem with it. The problem is this film is the most derivative Mad Libs bullshit you will ever watch in your life. And it has one of the best casts to do this too, to be this boring and this uneventful and just so whatever, so just uninspired. uh it's it's really depressing to pull these people in. Anyway, I have my purple baseball cap on backwards, black sunglasses, and I'm wearing a Fast and Furious t-shirt. So, I understand derivative franchises. But, yeah. So this film stars Academy Award nominee Mark Wahlberg, Academy Award winner Halle Berry, Academy Award winner J.K. Simmons, Academy Award nominee Jackie Earle Haley. We've got Alice Eve back for more. She's been in a bunch of things. You might have seen her in things. Mike Colter is in this. So, and Adewale Akinjabe, I'm going to continue to mess with his name. Did anybody see Lost? He was Echo on Lost. I've been following his career. I know his name. I just sadly he always plays like second fiddle stuff, and I don't hear his name pronounced enough. But I'm always excited to see his name on a list when I see it, because I'm like, oh, he's still there. He's a solid actor. Not that all of these people necessarily have the same size part or doing the same sort of thing, but this film is about a man, a regular dude. He's a construction worker, played by Mark Wahlberg, just chilling, doing his life, and all of a sudden, an old ex of his rolls back into town, Roxanne, played by, Roxanne. You don't have to put on the... It's Halle Berry. So we then have to believe that Halle Berry and Mark Wahlberg were a couple at one point and have chemistry together. Now, the problem is that these two actors are both likable in their own right. So what we're mistaking for as chemistry is actually just screen presence. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you have two actors who look good on camera and who have natural charisma. Yes, Mark Wahlberg has natural charisma. That's why they keep picking him for films. He has his own thing. Yes, in case you keep wondering why he keeps starring in things, that's why. There is sort of this, the X Factor thing is true, is a real thing where people just kind of are on camera, and there's something about seeing them on camera, just doing their thing, is like, oh, wow, this is interesting. It's not, but they're hoping to bamboozle you into thinking it's interesting. And Mark Wahlberg, basically, the last several films he's made have been him just trying to like make his way through the most mundane films. It's just sad that Halle Berry has to do it now too. And she ends up being a spy who has to roofie Mark Wahlberg and kidnap him, because, you wait for it, she works for a clandestine organization that nobody's ever heard of before, called the Union. When have we ever seen that in movies before? Like a random organization? You mean like the Beekeepers? Or the table? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Spectre? Like, IMF? I don't know. Like, just keep creating organizations. I want a movie that brings all those fucking organizations, takes them all. Fuck, fuck their franchise rights. You know what I'm saying? Just take all those organizations and put them in the same world and be like, we're all the clandestine organizations you've ever heard of, and we're all now in the same world. One new series, super clandestine organizations from every single franchise. um, yeah. So now there's the Union, which is like everything else you've ever heard of, and Halle Berry's an agent, but you know it goes deeper than the CIA. They do the work that the CIA can't do. Jesus. Anyway, J.K. Simmons is I don't know, in charge of this, because of course he is, and because Mark Wahlberg has no idea what's going on, you get tons of exposition. He just keeps asking questions, and they just keep getting to explain how this organization came to be, what this organization does, why Mark Wahlberg is there. So the whole, like, there's it's just like an exposition dump of information, because Mark Wahlberg is like, huh? What? So I don't understand. It's like, what's going on here? So you're saying, like, so you're like a spy? You know, like, he just keeps asking questions. Mark Wahlberg is confused for 10 minutes of the film, so that we can learn as much about the Union, the backstory, the terrorist threat, the MacGuffin that they have to chase down, you know, all of those kind of things. Why they need Mark Wahlberg, who has no discernible skill set whatsoever. So basically he got picked because he dated Halle Berry in high school. And seems to be able to handle himself kind of well, and Halle Berry feels like she can trust him, and like that's it. Like, they're very desperate. He's not somebody with like a particular set of skills. It's not like he trains at an MMA gym and she picks him up there and she's like, wow, this guy's got skills, you know, like finds Mark Wahlberg at the gun range, you know. it's a construction worker. So he has to undergo some training so that he can be the spy, because unfortunately the people that they need to get, it's one of those films where somebody has the list of every spy, right? So it's gonna blow everybody's cover. They don't even have, like, we've run out of things for terrorist organizations in films to steal, so they just keep stealing like the same, like, you know, like a magic 8 ball of, what did we steal today in this film? Shaking it up and just being like, oh, we stole, the list of every spy. Cool. All right, we're making that film. I've seen that film before. So, yeah, they're gonna blow the cover. Very sensitive information is what they're, and there's a very inventive name for the character that Mark Wahlberg has to find and meet up with, and that's the auctioneer. So I know they really struck out on their own here with these concepts. So he's sent into the field, and if you are still awake at this point, congratulations, you've earned yourself a shot of whatever. Just take shots. It's probably the best way to watch this film, is to see whether or not you can either get blackout drunk before the film finishes, or I don't know. I honestly, this film is just, you could literally, I could black you out in the middle of the film and start playing another film that was similar to this, and I don't think you would notice. I just don't think. I think you'd be like, what? Oh yeah, I was watching this film. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I love Ethan Hunt. Mission Impossible is really good. Just transition you into a better version of this film. Anyway, so yeah, he goes in and has to Everything he does is just stupid, inherently stupid. Like earlier on, he's out on his first, and there are agents everywhere, right? Even though they're worried about being spotted, they're everywhere. They've all got eyes on him, and he has an earpiece in, and some dude walks up to him and he's like, "Turn your earpiece off and follow me." So he turns his earpiece off, and I'm like, "You just acknowledged that you had an earpiece." Like, I'd have been like, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man. Like, get away from me." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have an earpiece. Like, he's like, "Yeah, okay, earpiece off, man. Yeah." And then later on, he gets this like burner phone thing, and somebody calls him, and they're like, "All right, so you're the guy. All right, so go in the bathroom and make the exchange." So he goes in the bathroom, and the guy's like, "Do you have a gun?" And he's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Why would you reveal that?" And then so he reveals it, and then the guy's like, "Put the gun on the counter." And Mark Wahlberg just puts the gun on. I would have been like, "Put yours on the counter too, man." Like, what? Like, there's nothing here that ever makes any sense. All of this is just like terrible life choices, like one after the other, after the other, after the other. Um, so yeah, and then they have to get to the auctioneer because they have to try to get the information and figure. Anyway, it's very convoluted. For a film that is basically Mad Libs for a spy film, and is running solely based off of the cast. I mean, it is hoping that you like these people well enough to be able to bring them in, and to some extent, it works. I mean, I think the star power works here, and these are all people who largely are believable in their roles. Like, it's not like Mark Wahlberg can't do action films. So can Halle Berry, by the way. Like, these people are fully capable of doing action films. When Mike Colter comes in this film, I'm like, fucking Luke Cage, man. I'd want him to, like, punch everything. You know, it's like, there are these people that it's like you've seen. It's not like with Trigger Warning, where all of a sudden they're like, yeah, Jessica Alba in her downtime has learned how to, you know, do gung fu. You know, it's just, she's the next John Wick. That's a leap. You know, that's a leap my brain has to make. That is a leap too far. But everybody here has already done similar work before and has had to train to do it. So I believe it. Those that have to fight. I mean, J.K. Simmons is more in like the advisory role. Although still, if J.K. Simmons was like punching the shit out of somebody, I feel like we've seen versions of that before. So I wouldn't be, you know, I mean, Oz. So I would be so totally surprised by it. Um, this is just a very bland film that nobody's ever going to remember. It's going to get thrown in the pile of whatever. It's like Netflix doesn't even care. It's just whatever. The sad thing is, because of the cast, if it was even like slightly original, this is the kind of film that has a cast that easily could have gotten a theatrical release, probably would have made at least 30 million at the box office. What did his last movie make? Mile 22 is like last sort of major action theatrical release. Whatever that made, who would have made that? It's because it's really hard to say with Mark Wahlberg, Halle Berry, J.K. Simmons, and the rest of the cast that this wouldn't have made at least a little bit of money at the box office. It feels more like what people are used to seeing out of Mark Wahlberg than like Arthur the King. So you can't use that box office. That's a completely different movie. So, this is, I think, what people sort of expect from Mark Wahlberg. It's sort of an action comedy, too, so he gets to try to do his... He gets jokes. He doesn't have to be super serious. Even though the film is incredibly derivative, sometimes I say there's a thing about being formulaic, and if you really follow the formula well, you end up creating something that's watchable. I don't think they actually did that. I think there is sort of like an unwatchability thing where too much of this film is based on the skill level of the actors. Like, how much do you like these actors is really what this comes down to, is how much you enjoy this film. Because I don't want to knock any of the actors. I don't think any of them really did a bad job. The writing is just not good. The film is not good. There's nothing about this that as a concept. I would not be excited to see the director again. I would not be excited to see a script written by the same writers again. Like, any of that stuff is just That's where the problem lies, is just, you can feel it. It just feels like this is written by AI, just sort of uh, like using AI, you know what I'm saying? Like, AI, help me, I can't think of an idea. Well, we could do this. And it's just what it is aggregating things from other films. So, yeah, that's valid, I guess. You could do that, but then you have this thing that is so unmemorable that I can't imagine anybody will watch it. When I looked at it yesterday, it had no rating on IMDb because I watched it the day it came out. And when I looked at it this morning, I review things like the next day. I marinate overnight on my thoughts, and it was already done like a 5.3. I was like, well, and its Metacritic was like 45. And I was like, it's still gonna keep going down as more people see this. So yeah, I can't. I would not recommend this film to anyone. But it's not the worst thing Netflix has made this year. It's not even Mark Wahlberg's worst movie in the last 12 months. I really despise The Family Plan. That was one of the worst films I saw in 2023. I hated that film so much. The film that he did with Apple. I did not like that film at all. I thought that film just fell totally flat, had no idea what it was doing. This film really comes close to that. I mean, it really doesn't know what it's doing. It relies way too much on its actors to carry the film. And it has a very obvious villain that it tries to pretend is not a villain. And I'm just like, fuck you, man. But and I kind of felt bad because like I correctly predicted it, and then like the actors have to sit there and they have to pretend like they don't know. Like they're like, oh yeah, we believe you, man. Of course, yeah, cool. It's like, of course this is going to be it. It's not nearly as smart as it thinks it is. I think this is why I hadn't heard anything about it, and they're just burying it in August. Although, I think it was around this time last year where Heart of Stone came out. I will say I liked Heart of Stone more. That was watchable to me. And I think with a better director and a better writer, a sequel to that film theoretically could be good. But it needs the kind of stuff Netflix doesn't want to put into its film, which is actually hard work, where you actually sit there and you analyze the film, and maybe you go back and do a rewrite or an edit or a cut. Maybe you do a test screening. I think Netflix really just takes films as is from whoever and just puts them out. And if you happen to find something that you like, it's really just random. It's a random roll of the dice. If it's not from a major director that you already knew, where they're, obviously it's going to be good because it's like David Fincher, then basically it's just dumb luck at that point, because I don't think these directors are getting any feedback. I don't think they're getting test screenings. I don't think they're hearing anything. So, Descriptive Video Works does the audio description here. I'm familiar with Matthew Dick because he did the audio description for American Rust, which moved to Freevee for its second season. So that's where I heard him from. He's an interesting narrator that I would like to hear more from. I don't know that this is something that's necessarily going to boost his profile, because I don't think anybody's going to talk about this narration. It's just sort of like thankless narration. That's the thing about when you get assigned a shitty film that nobody wants to watch, or that people will end up not liking, is that nobody's going to really remember your audio description / narration. There are some action sequences here that are well written and well described, but there's nothing here that's uniquely like, wow, I really love that they did that way, because this film does not have anything that's unique about it. So there's nothing really challenging. It just feels like, have you done this genre before? Sure. Well, you can write another one. Okay. Like it feels like you could just, anybody who has any sort of experience in the genre should have been able to write the audio description for this film. So there's nothing really that spectacular or unique or original about this film. Like I said, it's like, oh my God, we have a clandestine organization we've never heard of before until this film that works, uniquely somewhere within the confines of whatever, and somebody has to work for it or is working for it, or, it's just been there, done that, don't need to do it again. I don't need to see this movie again. I would love for Mark Wahlberg's career to head in a better direction, because even though he's not my favorite actor, like I said, he's charismatic as hell, but I feel like most of the stuff he's done in the last 5 years has just been hot garbage, and it's almost exclusively gone to streaming. Like, he finally gets something like Arthur the King that goes to theaters and then nobody shows up because they're so confused. They're like, wait a minute, am I at home on Netflix? This is like, what are we doing to these people, Mark Wahlberg's career has basically, he just goes straight to streaming now. He can't anchor anything. And unfortunately, he'll say yes to everything. So I'm sure he's getting a nice payday every time. But is he getting the same payday that he would have if he was banking those films? Like back when he joined the Transformers universe? I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt he got paid the same for this that he got paid for Transformers. So I don't know that the formula is working for him. Anyway, I don't recommend this fundamentally on any level. So I'm going to give The Union a D+. It's kind of like Trigger Warning, except Trigger Warning has a less enthusiastic cast. Although I do love Mark Webber as an actor, and I was really happy to see that casting happen. I was kind of like the bright spot of Trigger Warning, as I always think Mark Webber is underrated as an actor. Just kind of an aside, he was pulled from Stumptown. Like, he didn't test well, and I was like, what the fuck did Mark Webber test well for? Like, not that they replaced him with Jake Johnson, who I love also, but I was like, I love Mark Webber. What is going on? Why can't we get people to jump on board with Mark Webber? He's a fantastic actor. So I would love to see more from Mark Webber. But and Anthony Michael Hall's random pop, his character was so poorly written that it just made it so hard to be excited for it. That movie's hot garbage. But this is also equally a terribly written film. It just has a better cast. And so you're being bamboozled by people who are naturally charismatic, but there's still nothing here. This is still a nothing film. There's nothing to this film. So I would still say D+. Although I will acknowledge that your opinion of this film will fluctuate depending on how much you like these actors. If you're a big Mark Wahlberg fan, you will probably find this a little bit more enjoyable. I still would say there's absolutely no way this is going to be your favorite Mark Wahlberg film. I'm willing to bet my life on that you have seen at least one better Mark Wahlberg film in your lifetime, if you consider yourself to be a fan of Mark Wahlberg. So I don't think this is anybody's favorite Mark Wahlberg film. Anybody. It's going to be at max 2. There has to be something that caused you to become a Mark Wahlberg fan going into this. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm making that gamble. Because in order to qualify as a Mark Wahlberg fan, you would have already needed to like him. So whatever that performance was, there's no way this tops it. There's no way this is a better film. Anyway. And that is not up for discussion. That is not a debatable topic. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.